Good evening to you this Thursday night. Thank you so much for making time for us here on Look Up TV. My name is Brian Amwai. Remember, you can get in touch with us on our social media handles at Amwai Brian on Twitter at Look Up TV, or send us your feedback on 20374. This is Food Thursday. Let's get started. The Central Bank of Kenya has kept the benchmark rate at 7%, citing inflation, which remains within target range, and the economy, which is operating below potential. The Central Bank Monetary Policy Committee noted that a rise in food inflation saw June inflation rate climb to 6.3% compared to 6.9% in May. Well, this is said to be below, or rather below, the 7.5 maximum target in the medium term.
According to CBK's Monetary Policy Committee, food inflation rose to 8.5% in June from 7% in May, driven by higher prices of food items such as cooking oil, beef, bread, wheat and flour, while fuel inflation was registered at 13.5% last month compared to 14.3% in May. According to Dr. Patrick Njoroge, CBK Governor and MPC Chairman, and I quote, "Inflation pressures are expected to be elevated in the near term, mainly driven by increases in food and fuel prices and the impact of the recently implemented tax measures." End of quote. The committee is, however, upbeat of a strong recovery in the second half of the year, supported by strong performance in construction, information and communication, education, and real estate sectors.
Now moving on, farmers and consumers affected by foods contaminated by pesticides used on fruits and vegetables can now breathe a sigh of relief after the Pest Control Products Board announced it will conduct a risk analysis of products sold in Kenya. This is following a directive from a parliamentary committee. The move comes after a petition was tabled in the National Assembly by Uasin Gishu Women Representative Gladys Boss Sholei.
There's fresh hope for farmers and consumers affected by food contaminated by pesticide used on fruits and vegetables, after the Pest Control Product Board has announced it will conduct a risk analysis of products sold in Kenya, following a directive from a parliamentary committee. The committee had issued a report on a 2019 petition by the Biodiversity and Biosafety Association of Kenya, Kenya Organic Agriculture Network, Resource Oriented Initiative Kenya, and Road to Food Initiative. The group wanted 485 pesticide products banned from shop shelves, citing what they said was irreparable harm they were doing to unsuspecting consumers. Some of the products, they argued, had been banned in Europe, the United Kingdom, and the United States, but are still readily available in Kenya and on consumers' plates every day. Of the 485 products, 25 are carcinogens, 24 can cause damage to genetic changes, 35 can interfere with the hormone system, 140 can affect the nervous system, and 262 show effect on reproduction. Now, hopes have been raised for farmers and consumers, with PCPB Chief Executive Officer Esther Kimani saying a team has been formed to analyze the products and ascertain their impacts on human health. Ocheng Sylvian, Food Thursday.
The National Drought Management Authority has announced that the number of households in need of food assistance in Tana River County is set to increase. This is due to the long rains failure. Now, the county received less than 25% during the month of June. Now, according to NDMA's National Drought Early Warning Bulletin for July, Tana River, Lamu, Kilifi, Isiolo, Garissa, Kitui, Wajir, Samburu, Marsabit, Mandera, and Laikipia counties are in the alert drought phase.
In their June bulletin, National Disaster Management Authority estimated over 5,000 households to be in urgent need of food assistance based on a rapid food security assessment they conducted. Milk production in the Tana River is on a worsening trend. The average milk producer per household decreased to 4.2 liters in June. This is attributed to decreasing quality of pasture across all livelihoods and migrations toward Tana Delta. Tana River County nutritionist Omari Makopa advised parents to consider giving their children other sources of proteins like beans, green grams, cowpeas, among others to complement the little they have. Assistant County Commissioner Geoffrey Mwashofi said the government has cash transfer programs to cushion households, including the House Safety Net program. The World Food Programme and Kenya Red Cross Society distributed pulses, cereals, and vegetable oil to 5,833 beneficiaries across the 3 sub-counties in Tana River. Wangare Mwangi, Look Up TV.
Now, the United Nations has wrapped up a 3-day pre-summit on the world's food system. The summit, which has cast a light on the world's greatest food-related challenges, sets the table for September's ambitious full summit at the UN headquarters in New York. The United Nations has just wrapped up a 3-day pre-summit. The summit was created by the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres as a way to call attention to the growing problem of food insecurity, especially in poor and developing countries. Guterres launched the July 26th to 28th event in Rome, with remarks highlighting that the goal, in the context of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, which seek to make major strides in reducing poverty, hunger, inequality, and other challenges by 2030.
I am pleased to send greetings to this important meeting to prepare for the Food System Summit. We are at a pivotal moment. We are seriously off track to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Poverty, income inequality, and high cost of food continue to keep healthy diets out of the reach of some 3 billion people. Climate change and conflict are both consequences and drivers of this catastrophe. Up to 811 million people faced hunger in 2020, as many as 161 million more than in 2019, not least due to the disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic, which still assails us, has highlighted the links between inequality, poverty, food, disease, and our planet. Our war against nature includes a food system that generates 1/3 of all greenhouse gas emissions. And the same food system is responsible for up to 80% of biodiversity loss. Yet, there is hope. Since my initial call for this summit, you have responded with energy, ideas, and a willingness to forge new partnerships. At this pre-summit, we can define the scope of our collective ambition and strengthen our efforts to achieve the 17 SDGs by transforming our food systems. I thank you for your work so far in making this both a People's Summit and a Solution Summit. Your leadership will help set a tone for the decade of action and an equitable and sustainable recovery from COVID-19. I look forward to welcoming you to New York in September, and I thank you.
The full summit is set to take place in late September during the UN General Assembly, though a specific date has not yet been chosen. The timing and location of the summit will ensure the participation of dozens of heads of state and government.
At the heart of the equation. Now, I cannot think of a sector that is more literally central to the survival of our world. Roughly half of all the habitable land on Earth is now used for agriculture, but far too often that agriculture, or to be exact, agri-industry, destroys the natural systems on which it depends. In the last 50 years alone, more than 1/3 of our farmable soil has been destroyed or degraded by human activity. The global food system is also responsible for more than 1/3 of all greenhouse gas emissions. So, how we produce, market, and consume food has a big impact on the Earth's capacity to sustain us. And that has a direct impact on human health and our economic prosperity. But it seems to me that this question offers a remarkable economic opportunity. If we farm in the right way, working with Earth systems instead of against them, and with a substantial focus on the welfare of communities, not only will we increase the production of more nutritious food and generate more employment, we will also benefit nature's capacity to keep the entire system going indefinitely.
And agribusiness, especially in Africa, will drive our attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. This is especially true as we work to make up for the time lost to the COVID pandemic. Each country and region must chart its own pathway to transformation, but this is also a global challenge that we must address together. In Africa, 70% of the world working age population is employed in the agricultural sector, but our continent's food markets are often fragmented, and links to food processing and value addition services are sometimes lacking.
The just completed pre-summit in Rome did not lack participation, featuring the active involvement of representatives from more than 100 countries and regions and comments from high-profile figures, including Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi, Prince Charles of Britain, and the Director General of Rome-based UN Food and Agriculture Organization, which hosted the event. The pre-summit featured input not only from governments and multilateral organizations, but from farmers, environmental groups, and even youth representatives who praised the inclusion in the event. Now you're going to love this. Now it is a delicacy that is mostly enjoyed in Western Kenya. They call it tiswa, or flying termites if you like. On this week's segment of Would You Eat It?, we ask, would you eat flying termites? I go to visit a store here in the city that offers flying termites as a delicacy. Take a look. Now, what are we seeing here? Just for the audience, what are they seeing?
These ones have a nickname. They're called flying vegetables.
Oh, they're all flying vegetables.
These are flying termites.
In Luya, they call them
Tiswa.
Yeah.
In Luo, we call them ngwen. Kikuyu, they are called nguya.
Nguya. Oh, so it's everybody eats that?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
But people will not. Some people.
Some people won't.
Okay. So how do we come about in preparing this?
These ones are already harvested. And you know, they come during the rainy season, so they are harvested seasonally. And then, like these specific ones, the bigger ones, they come from the ant hills.
Okay.
Yes,
So
from the
you
ant
say
hills.
They are harvested seasonally?
Yes, they are harvested seasonally, especially during the rainy season. You've seen like when it's raining and then you have all this
Yeah, totally.
flying and then falling in your house and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So that is when they are harvested. And then when they're harvested, they are preserved.
Also, because I was
They are
about to
fried
ask-
and preserved.
I was about to ask, the rainy season is not every now and then. So when exactly do you make sure that you have this enough food?
Now, the time when there's a rainy season, I have got my network on the ground. So they alert me and tell me this is ready, we have them, and so that's how I manage to get them.
Serve that for
Yes,
your customers.
yes. So this is fried. I think you don't need any oil. You just put them on a pan, toast them, drop a few munyum shereha as usual,
that one
as a preservative. Yes. So that's why they stay long. Like this can last for over a year.
Last for over a year?
Yes.
This is, the
Over
meat is
a year. The way it is preserved.
Awesome.
Yes.
Do people, when people come here for this experience, what kind of reaction do you get? Somebody that has never.
Those who understand will eat. Those who have never will be like, yuck. I can't eat insects. But these are very rich in protein.
Yeah.
But those who do understand, they'll definitely order. They find it like intriguing. Like, yeah.
To try something new.
Yes.
Wow. Now, on this week's segment of Would You Eat It?, we are asking you, would you eat flying termites? In Luya, they call them tiswa. Kikuyus call them nguya. Now, that's the question. Would you eat flying termites? I think I would personally. They are very nutritious, as explained earlier. They are preserved. They are harvested during the rainy season, then preserved, so that we can have them at any time and any day that we want them. So I'm going to give it a test and just see whether you there at home are going to consider taking them. I'm not dying. Awesome. So yeah, there you have it. I'm still alive. I just ate termites and nutritious, tasty. I love them. So would you consider eating flying termites? That's the question we're asking you today. Yeah, they're very nutritious. Look at how they look. No bad. No. Thank you so much for watching this segment. My name is Brian Amwai. This is Food Thursday. And with that, I'll take, how do we call it? Water from our natural refrigerator. See you when I see you. Bye. Now that story brings us to our first break here on Lookup TV Food Thursday. Remember, you can get in touch with us on our social media handles at Amoy Brian on Twitter, at Lookup TV. We are also live on Facebook. You can also send us your SMS on 20374. Let's take that short break. I'll be coming back with more, including a discussion on the place of technology when it comes to food production.
So all my life, babies have been crying at night to me with my wife.
Mwingine unapata sasa mzazi wake mtoto amekuwa orphan na ni msichana. Tukasema wacha tuishi nao. Sasa hapo ndio tukaanzia kuwa na home.
Niaje? Mwogopa watu sana?
Huyu ni muoga.
Huyu ni muoga. Mnamgonganga sana ndio maana.
Unajua Gure has a problem with the speech.
I see. Oh, speaking.
It is hard to make friends because they see you as a director. Maybe they will fake that you're their friend, but you're not their friend.
This is from 3.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Lions Club Oslo. Oslo is in Norway.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We live here with the children because when I started this, I wanted to be a family, not an institution. So we live here with my children.
Paidika Real Estate brings to you Soteria Gardens, Matu, for as little as 75,000 Kenya shillings on cash payments, 99,000 for installments, with 40,000 Kenya shillings deposit and balance in 5 months. For more information, visit our office at Thika Town, Grace House, 3rd floor. Feel free to call us on 0724 256 626 or 0710 265 687. Like, follow, subscribe, click the notification button. Join the Lookup TV movement now.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Lookup TV Food Thursday. Remember, you can get in touch with us on our social media handles at Amoy Brian on Twitter, at Lookup TV. You can also send us your SMS on 20374. Now, to our discussion tonight. Fintech is slowly becoming the new business model for the global financial sector, offering clear and enormous potential for vast economies of scale and scope, massive cost savings and efficiency gains, significant risk reduction, and opening the door to banking for literally billions of currently unbanked people. The food production sector is not being left out in the growing demand for the adoption of digital innovation. Fiona Umulisa, the country manager for Farm Crowdy, spoke of the future of fintech in increasing food productivity across East Africa.
Right, let's have this conversation, a very important one, and we're going to travel all the way to Kigali, Rwanda, where we'll be talking to Fiona. Fiona has been working so hard together with her teams in ensuring that those who are preparing the food from the farm to the table are able to, transact using the latest, technology, and that is fintech in the agribusiness space. Let's bring in Fiona. Fiona, thank you so much for making time to speak to us. First of all, I'm hoping that you're keeping safe. We understand Rwanda is currently, exercising a lockdown in Kigali city. I hope all is well from where you sit. But let's get into this conversation today. Looking at COVID-19 and the fintech sector, where you are very active in, has the pandemic brought in any blessings with it, or it's been a curse for you?
Thank you for having me, and I'm safe. Thank you. I think COVID has not been a blessing to humanity in general, because we have lost millions of people due to this pandemic. But as like any other human power, we are here to find solutions amidst the challenges. And even before COVID, the 300 million smallholder farmers around the world faced a funding gap of about 167 billion USD. Particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, where it's home to over 50 million smallholder farmers, it's a huge challenge in terms of funding the agriculture sector. But we have seen with COVID, it has brought also the adoption of different digital platforms and technologies in general. Ourselves at Farm Crowdy, we are supporting actors in the value chain by providing them inputs on time, on a good price, and also leveraging on that to make sure we provide them with finance. Or let's go to Kenya, where, for example, Pula or Apollo is really doing an amazing job. And I believe these digital platforms and technologies will be a very distinctive future of the agriculture value chain moving forward. So, yeah.
Now, Fiona, I mean, if we go practical now and look at the current state of affairs, let's take a practical example with Kigali being under lockdown today. Of course, that means limited or no movement at all for those who are seeking to either buy from the farmers or even just have food on their table, which requires them to move or to be mobile. How are you and the players in the fintech space, bridging the gap or, taking their space in the current state of affairs in Kigali today?
So, when it comes to the current lockdown, our culture is an essential sector. So business is still working, even though it's not as usual. So with COVID, what is COVID telling us? COVID is telling us to change the strategies, to change the way of doing things, So things should not be put on hold because of such shock. And this is preparing us for the future shocks, And in Kigali, there are different stakeholders in the value chain that they're doing our best. As I gave you an example of ourselves at Farm Crowdy, we are doing this by providing finance to agriculture value chain actors, cooperating with the banks, to do this, and different mobile money operators. Why all these people are mentioning? It's because our culture is a very huge sector. It's not a one-man powered sector. So there's that ecosystem that needs to be put in place if we need to have a very holistic solutions for farmers. And this helps in terms of knowing which products specifically to design for farmers. When you're providing a financial product for a farmer, it's a very totally different financial product that would make for myself, because our culture is very seasonal. They will perhaps pay you after they harvest, they need money in different bundles depending on the nature of the business, if it's in a horticulture, if it's maize. So you need to have all those determinants to make up our minds in terms of which financial products that we are putting in place. So currently we are doing well, but we need to do more. Because if things are not working as they have to be doing, it means we still have a loophole that we need to fill. And with that, I think we need to embrace the collaborative ecosystem when it comes to designing farmer-centric products.
Right. And I know, Fiona, from where you sit, I'm sure you also agree that COVID-19 came as a surprise to many people. I mean, most people were not ready. The fintech sector was not ready for this, and I'm trying to understand how then the adoption process is taking place and what is needed from the different players. As you rightly said, it's a multi-sectoral field when it comes to agriculture. What would you be saying or telling that person who sits in cabinet meetings, who sits in policy-making decision round tables? What would you be telling them that would help prepare better if we were to be faced by another pandemic?
Yeah, sure. COVID came as a surprise, I just mentioned, to every nation, and I commend to how governments have really really controlled it. You know, it's been a surprise to them and to everyone. And I would say that's why, and I would say when it comes to fintech, that's the purpose of fintech in the first place. Fintech is here to show up in such scenarios. You know, it's tech powered. It's very customer centric powered. So you don't come up with on any decision or any product. You need to know, is the product a market fit? In a good scenario and bad scenario, would my business or my startup keep, you know, doing or serving the customers? So when it comes to fintech, I think this is a wake-up call that we need more fintech and agri-tech, specifically agri-tech, fintech products on the market, you know. So I think it was a surprise that we didn't have many of these products or many of startups in the market, rather than saying we had a lot of agri-tech and agri-fintech startups and they were unable to serve, you know, the customers. And when it comes to policymakers or the cabinet, as you said, I think it's more of allowing, you know, when I always say startup is like a baby, you know, so you allow the baby to play around, you just watch, you know, that's what regulators do. You need to watch so that one doesn't cross the line, but allow them to have a free playground, you know, to try new things and allow them to pilot. And when it comes to Rwanda, I think the cabinet or the policymakers are doing a great job, you know, providing different sandboxes for startup people to try new things before now they can now commit themselves to the business. And I think even with Nigeria or Kenya or Uganda, they all this year they came up with different sandbox for fintech specifically. So to me, they're doing well, but it needs to be a very collaborative, still a collaborative playground, because regulators know what we need to adhere to as startup and entrepreneurs. But also we know more than them what the market is asking for us. So when we come in the same under the same roof, we can say, okay, this is the policy that would be very much serving the community and the citizens without doing harm or doing unethical things to the community.
Last but not least, Fiona, talk to me a bit about uptake, because you know, with every new technological innovation, there's always those who will be pessimistic, there are those who will be optimistic. I mean, especially when you talk about agribusiness, traditionally agriculture has been seen as a trade for those in the villages, and of course, you know, lately we are seeing a lot of uptake of this by the young people. But let me understand, how are the players in the sector, you know, uptaking these financial technological advancements and incorporating them into their trade, from the farm, you know, leading towards the whole value chain to when the food lands on my table? How's the uptake looking like? What are the trends that you're seeing today?
So the trends are positive. You know, our culture is projected to be a 1 trillion space in Africa, and by 2030, both they have a lot of challenges. But with COVID and around this season, we have been seeing a lot of different agriculture stakeholders uptaking on technology. For example, when it comes to mobile money adoption, in Kenya, there's 81% increase of farmers using either mobile money or M-Pesa. The same thing to Uganda, which is 47. For Rwanda, it's even beyond that. And why that? It's there because we found ourselves in a scenario of we don't have a choice. You know, we need to take on these solutions. You know, but my opinion would be more of, if COVID wasn't there, then, or if COVID gets over, are we going to still using these platforms? You know, and that brings me to my point of having education of finance. This is where you educate people on why, the why behind, the mindset behind to use these technologies. If COVID is not there anymore, or if any shock comes in future, are we prepared? And do people really embrace the technology without a need of, teaching them why behind it? So the uptake is good, but we still have a long way to go. There's I think you have seen how the World Bank have released a report speaking of the digital gap between women and men. When you go to farmers or if you go to the village remote somewhere, you find that a woman doesn't own a phone, or if she does, every transaction happens on the husband's or the male's counterpart phone, which means this woman will always be somehow financially excluded because there's no data, there's no history. So, and that's why different agri-tech and fintech companies are leveraging on this opportunity. This is an opportunity for us, for entrepreneurs, to take on and to come up with solutions that are very suitable for agriculture actors. And still, I talk much about collaborative ecosystem, a holistic ecosystem. We need all of us. This fintech and agri-tech fintech is not here to disrupt, in my own opinion, to disrupt banks. They are here to enable them. We have agility. We know how to talk to customers. We know how to design good products for customers. But banks have scale. So we need to really work together and leverage on the data they already had, and with our expertise in coming up with products that fit each and everyone's individual needs. And with that, then we're going to tap into 1 trillion billion potential in agriculture sector.
A big market indeed, and of course, the significance of collaboration is what you are echoing on this particular conversation. Fiona, thank you so much for making time to speak to us today. We hope that all will be well, and of course, what we've talked about is going to impact many more in this field. Thank you so much for making time to speak to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you.
Now that discussion takes us to a second break here on Food Thursday. We'll be back with a feature story on Kienyeji food. Stay tuned.
Imagine a life of comfort that many people would admire. From drugs, crime, and now a broken leg and a broken arm. And she was a slave to addiction for a period of tell the story of Catherine Nyambura, Joyce Wairimu, John Kariuki. This is a story of Hazel Mombi, from a very broken childhood that led her to revenge. But the story is different for Joseph Kabuchi, whose life was turned around by a presidential pardon. She was taken to Mathare. Did she get the help she needed? And now she chooses to impact positive change every moment that she gets. Her message, no human is beyond repair. I am Nancy Nalima. Thank you so much for watching.
Why I Did It, Saturdays from 8 p.m. only on Lookup TV.
Welcome to the Natural Juicing Center. We are a unique organization that seeks to provide the community with an alternative healthcare option. We specialize in the use of a natural holistic system that focuses on building health through cleansing and nourishing of the body. We utilize a variety of natural health promoting methods in our services, which include juicing therapy, hydrotherapy, colon cleansing, massage therapy, and a comprehensive cleansing service, among others. Our juices are freshly made and tailored to each and every client's individual needs after evaluation by our team through our free consultation service. You can now book for any service or order for food supplements on our website www.naturaljuicingcenter.com. You can also visit our center in Kahawa Sukari, house number 1334, Kahawa Sukari Avenue. Natural Juicing Center. Your health is your wealth.
Like, follow, subscribe, click the notification button. Join the Lookup TV movement now.
Now, thank you so much for staying with us here on Lookup TV Food Thursday. As I said earlier, you can get in touch with us on our social media handles at Amwai Brian on Twitter at Lookup TV. The hashtag is Food Thursday. We are also live on Facebook, or you can send us your feedback on 20374. Now, on our feature tonight, we look at Kienyeji foods. Imagine this. Having a meal that has been prepared in a traditional way with no modern spices, totally traditional, just like our great-great-grandparents used to do. Now, I got a chance to visit Kienyeji store, and I have to say, I loved it. Good food is what we always crave for, especially in a city that has food that is termed as dangerous to our health because of how it is prepared. Kienyeji store here in Nairobi gives city dwellers a village experience, they say. Those who have never been to the village now know how it feels to be in the village. Those who miss the village now have the village brought close to them. From the setup to the plates on the table and even the way water is taken here gives you that feeling of being in the village. For a moment, you forget all the hustle and bustle of city life and ready yourself for a meal that we can say is prepared with the best of interest and you in mind. But first, why the name Kienyeji? Miriam Nabakwe, CEO Kienyeji, explains why she chose the name. You said, why did you choose the name Kienyeji? Something like that.
You know,
how did it just come about and you decided, now I want to start venturing into this one?
I thought about it. Okay, fine. Probably I was looking for a name that could be probably with a Luya identity because it's like Luya food.
Yeah, totally.
Luya vegetables. But then I was like, I want a name that appeals to all, that is Kienyeji, you know? Then I thought, okay, Kienyeji means local.
Kienyeji means local.
That means local. So that if somebody comes to me, like probably who doesn't know what this Luya word means, but they can identify with Kienyeji because it's a Swahili word, which means local. So that's how I came up with the name. After looking for several other names and not really
testing here and there and see which one is going to work.
So Kienyeji, you can easily, anybody can identify with the word Kienyeji.
Yeah, totally. So you say Kienyeji, we go back home.
Yes,
something like that. Thank you so much for this, and I'm looking at this and I'm just amazed. It takes me back home, you know.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it gives me a feeling of, I don't know, the village, something like that, and is nostalgic, something like that.
Let me cut you short. It's supposed to be a village experience in the city.
A village experience in the city. Wow, awesome. It totally brings that, because ever since I came here, like when I stepped here, and just the aroma of everything that I started feeling just reminded me of where I come from. And I don't want to say where, but that. So what exactly am I seeing here?
We have different types of foods. And first of all, I should mention that our food is zero spice.
Zero spice. You don't have spices?
That food that your grandmother used to make back in the village.
Yeah.
That is the kind of food that we are selling here.
You don't have spices totally?
No spice.
The way it looks like this,
no
very...
spice. Nyanya na kitunguu tu.
Peke yake?
Peke yake tu.
Wow, awesome.
And then now, the only thing that we add on to it is the traditional munyo mshereha. You know what's the traditional munyo mshereha is?
I know that.
I know most of the millennials don't know that.
Totally.
Now, munyo mshereha is made from dried, it's called a lye, L-Y-E. It's like a salt.
Okay.
It's like a salt. And it has a lot of benefits to eat if you think through the past. I'm glad I'm talking to someone who really understands this and the background and the origination of this.
Yeah.
Now, the munyo is made from dried banana peels, dried bean pods, and dried maize cobs. So all those, they are burnt into an ash, and then once burnt into an ash, you filter and get the solution.
The solution, yeah.
That is what we use to flavor the food.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome, because I remember growing up back in the village, I used to see that happen. And most of the time here in the city, when somebody is from the village, at times they send them with that. So that, just go use that. Usitumie magadi, usitumie kitu fulani.
Magadi is not healthy.
So you use that in everything that you cook here?
Yes, in most of the foods. So that is what gives it that authentic traditional cooking taste.
So it's also responsible for the aroma that we get, right?
Yes, exactly.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yes.
So what is is it just for the benefit of probably giving it a traditional taste, or is there something else that it adds to the food?
Of course, it has a lot of health benefits. And then look at it this way. You remember our grandparents, they lived long, free from lifestyle diseases. Why? Because all the foods they ate, all the meats they ate, they were actually using that traditional menu.
Oh.
You see, even in constipation, you're constipated and you have a lot of gas. You just take a little and it stabilizes the gas and acidity. So those are the health benefits of traditional menu. So, and that is why I decided to come up with this and also initiate this in all the foods that I'm cooking, because that is exactly the same food that I'll eat when I go back to the village.
Okay.
Yes.
Totally. So you just decided kienyeji in the city, kienyeji in the village.
Yes.
So when people want to come here, they just get a feeling of that
village
experience,
yes.
Which is totally okay, and it actually serves its purpose, because, like I explained earlier, steptia and jack. That's exactly what I got. This, I used to see my grandmother, or rather, my grandmother. She used to do this. What does it have? So, how does this come about?
Now, this, first of all, I should tell you something about our ugali.
Yeah.
Our ugali is that one from the Kisiagi.
It's not jogo?
No, it's not packaged.
Wow.
It's not processed flour. It's the original flour that you can eat in the village. That it has come straight from the flour mill to the house for making your ugali.
Totally kienyeji.
Yes, totally kienyeji.
Like the name.
Yes. Now, this is brown flour, which we do a mix of millet, sorghum, and a little cassava.
Okay.
In different proportions, but it is dominant with millet.
Okay.
That's why it looks like this.
All right. So the benefits of it, why is it so important to have this one?
This one is a very strong meal for strong people and very healthy. As you know, the benefits of eating all this, like it stays long also in the system. I mean, you can eat and stay for a very long time feeling full. And if you look way back, like most of the times when these meals were eaten, it used to be like this brown ugali was always very special.
Yeah.
It was only done mostly, let's say, when a bride is getting married.
And it's during special occasions, things like that.
Yeah.
Or just eaten meant for special specific.
And then we had people who had like the diabetes.
Yeah.
Those who had like medical conditions, like specifically
for that.
Eating the brown ugali because of the many health benefits. I think also because of it's also gluten free, I think, and it's also like it's a healthy option considered to this one, despite the fact that this one also is high in roughage. I don't know if you can look closely. You can see.
Yeah. I do.
You can see the grain, and it's high in roughage and also very filling. So this brown ugali is like something very special. Inaitwa ugali ya heshima.
Ugali heshima, totally. Yeah. Okay, now this other one that I'm seeing here, it's you said it has roughages, but so people here in the city, when we take packaged flour, we don't have this one. So what are we missing in whatever we eat nowadays?
I think it's too processed. That's the difference. And you can even tell the way it is. It's so light on the stomach. I think it's not that feeling.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people come and say, this ugali is very little, but now when they get to eat, they feel, hey, it's so filling. You can't one of them, unless you're really very hungry, that's when you can add another portion.
So this alone is enough?
Yes, this is very enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
If you have this with a protein item and a vegetable, I think that's very
I thought for somebody like me who comes from Luya land, so it will be a little bit, okay, no.
We always add. By the way, we always add. We always add.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you mentioned that you use munyu.
Yes.
Mshereha. That one. You said it's called line in English, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So everything here, you focus on kienyeji. Does that apply to all the even let me just say chicken and all that? Because we have chicken that is not, kuku ya kienyeji Nairobi ni expensive.
Very.
Yeah, alafu hiyo ingine ya kawaida ni cheaper.
Yes.
So is that the same case here?
Yeah, that's the same case. Like our chicken is like a pure road runner. We don't do improved or all these other breeds that have come up.
Okay.
We don't do that.
Okay.
Because when you go back to the village, what happens? You start chasing after chicken. You start chasing after chicken.
Yeah.
You run after it and then you catch it.
You have to.
And then that's when you now slaughter and take through the processes.
Yeah.
So the same way we ensure that we get chicken from the village, and it has to be pure kienyeji chicken so that it can get that real taste. Now, let me tell you something that I've learned through experience.
Tell me.
If you try an experiment of doing the traditional munyu, like even with broiler or this other chicken that is called broiler, I don't know, the improved one, it doesn't shika. I mean, it won't come out. It just won't be the same.
Okay.
So it only goes with the pure traditional, pure free range chicken.
Okay. So if you're using munyu, you have to use it with traditional stuff. You don't have to go to GMO.
It doesn't work. It just doesn't
so totally healthy food here. Hey, it's so awesome. What am I seeing here?
This is the cow leg.
Who takes this?
A lot of people take it and they love it so much. In fact, it's our fastest moving item.
What?
Yes. So we get the cow legs, and you know the benefits of the cow legs, like it has a lot of aminos and collagen.
Also, those are the benefits.
For the bones, like people who have got injuries or issues with bones, this is very good with the soup. It's very healthy.
Oh, with the soup.
Yes, it's
because
very healthy.
So people do come for this.
Yes, exactly. And most of the time it's not easy to get. And then now in the places like, let's say, even preparing this food, you know, there's something about making this food. There's an art that you put to it.
It's not just
cooking.
Yeah, it's not cooking.
It's not just cooking. There are processes that we go through.
Yeah.
Let's say I'll give an example like this. You have to roast, remove the fat, clean it nicely.
Yeah.
You know, like if you go to a local joint, probably in these other areas like Korogosho, Kaongware, you'll find them, but they will not be as clean as this, you see. So we try to go an extra mile to make them at least nicely presentable looking, so that when you serve someone on a plate, it looks nice and something someone will want to take, even if they've never eaten that, they want to try it.
So when somebody says mguu ya ng'ombe, and someone, no. So akikuja and say, oh, so it looks like this, so fine.
I'm telling you, they fight for it.
They do?
They fight for it.
We'll have to prove that to have a taste.
Yeah.
That omena is different from everything I know and how I see things. I don't know.
This omena is actually just the fresh omena. The fresh omena, and then it is we get actually the fresh one and then we deep fry, and then now we make that like a dry fry for the customers.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
The last part, I think, what we have on the table? Matumbo.
Yes.
Totally.
Now this matumbo, it's also made with traditional munyu.
No, so everything you use is just munyu.
Munyu has to be. Munyu is our flavor. I mean, when you talk
so
about
that is the secret of kienyeji.
Munyu has to be there. And then you see, the interesting bit is when we first started, we were not appealing to many people because they didn't understand, you know. So you have to also now educate your customers so that they get to understand this taste. The munyu is what brings out that taste. And when you're doing now the authentic traditional cooking, munyu cannot be out of the picture. And you know, this is Luya cuisine.
Totally.
And Luya food, Luyas actually have got a very rich food heritage. We have so many other items that sometimes I usually introduce just as specials. And this is just a tip of the iceberg. I'll be very honest with you.
This is just a tip of the
so
iceberg. Yeah, I've been looking at your menu and I think this is just a tip.
Yeah, this is
not everything. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, this is just a tip of the iceberg.
Okay. Now let's go to the vegetables here. What vegetables do you have? Because I think,
I have like a wide range of vegetables, like over 17 combinations. These are just a few. Now, what I decided, because this business, actually, the food business, was not my initial plan. My initial plan was the pre-cooked vegetables.
Oh.
Now, these pre-cooked vegetables, what happened was I came up with this idea that if I introduce these vegetables, majority of people don't have that time to look for those vegetables. That's number one. Even getting the right ones, you're not sure.
Yeah, totally.
You're not sure.
Continue before I interrupt you.
You're not sure where they're coming from. That's number one. Number two, they've got a special way in which they are made. Not everybody knows how to make them that way.
Wow.
You get it? But they desire to eat these vegetables. Number three, people are busy. They don't have that time to pluck vegetables, wash, or they have children at home,
Yeah, totally.
or they have a house girl who's very busy, so she does not have that time to do all that work, you see. So why not come in and bridge the gap and give that convenience? I will source for the vegetables and make sure they are legit from pure organic farms.
Wow.
And then pluck the vegetables for you, wash them, do the initial cooking with the traditional munyu.
Wow.
Munyu comes
munyu.
So I've done the initial cooking for you. All you do is just to buy this back, you go and fry.
So this is already, it's pre-cooked?
Yes.
Oh wow.
You just go and fry. That's it.
You've made work easier for quite a lot of people.
Yes, and people can still enjoy nutrition. I mean, healthy nutrition, nutritional with foods with high nutritional value.
Okay.
And like for the different combinations, like this is the risuta, managu in English, and we kind of break down the names and put a leaf there so that
somebody can easily
and know
identify
what are they eating. You see. So initially we will have people like probably from Western and Nyanza and who probably relate with these vegetables. Even some of the vegetables people from Rift Valley, but even Central have also impressed. And then I came to learn most of this, what is it called, these vegetables. What happened was that when I started, I was just doing the plain ones that I know, but you could always find someone saying, why don't you do for me a combination of this? Do for me a combination of that. And through that, I was able to now compile those combinations, and they were appealing to many other customers.
Okay. So those somebody tells you, I want you to mix this, and that, and other customers are like, okay, so I also want the same.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then that's how I grew my product list.
Wow. Because I think I've seen a lot of people mixing. So you're like, somebody takes managu, takes terere, takes what, and they just saga and put them all together, and it is one meal. That's pretty good. Now let's talk about. People keep coming back here for food. Has secrets to good food?
This nderema, it's like mrenda, but not exact. It's a little slimy, very soft vegetable, very rich in iron and calcium. Very good for breastfeeding mothers. Sometimes we recommend also for people with special needs.
So when somebody comes here and says, me, I'm breastfeeding,
I want something good. Yes, this is very good for milk production, for lactating mothers, even the pregnant women, especially for iron and calcium that is highly needed during pregnancy. So this is the nderema. We mix it with pumpkin leaves. It can also be mixed with mito, that vegetable called mito. So we have this combination of pumpkin leaves. Then, now the thing is,
the preparation. How do you do that?
This one is also just done with the traditional munyu. You see, now the thing is, we usually give like 3 different types of vegetables on daily basis for our customers, so that they can sample out the different traditional vegetables that there is. Like you've just told me nderema, you can't remember when you last. Exactly. Some people have never even tested it, but when they come here now, they have an opportunity to do what? To test it or to eat it. Secondly, this is a combination of kunde
with terere. I think we have it here in the park. You see, now this yes. Okay. So if you buy this and take it home with you, this is, if you come here and test, let's say, and say, hey, I really like this combination. Then we'll tell you, oh, we also have one pack that you can carry home to go and enjoy. So when you go home, you just fry it. We also have another option. Some customers say, cook for me, I just want it to be exactly like that.
So they go with
So we cook it and we serve them. They go and eat at home like that, you see. Now, and this one.
Just to cut it short, you mentioned this nderema, you specify, or rather you have people that you recommend it to, some of the people that you
yes.
What about this one? Kunde and...
Kunde terere. Kunde is very rich in roughage.
Now, I don't believe in strict diets or starving yourself. I believe in eating good. They say eat breakfast like a king, eat lunch like a queen, and eat dinner like a pauper. And I like food. I like eating. And I don't want to deprive myself of good food. My name is Brian Amwai, and this is Food Thursday. Now, that story brings us to the end of our bulletin tonight. Thank you so much for staying with Food Thursday here on Lookup TV. My name is Brian Amwai. Let's do this again next week. And have yourselves a lovely night.
We value your feedback and welcome your complaints about our programming and operations. Feel free to get in touch with us through 0700 893 542 or send us an email to views@look-up.tv. We can't wait to hear from you. On the next episode of Kids Connection.
I really love Miss Gorgeous Kenya, Rihanna Joy. I wish I was her, to visit many places while modeling.
I'm nice in Christ, to give you advice and not to nurse your eyes, but to enrich your mind.